Go deep in all that you do. I recently just got done reading the book Deep Work by Cal Newport, and this book was amazing. And this book touched on a topic that I've been thinking about for a long time. And it touched on a philosophical topic that I've been thinking about for a long time. Now, this book, I wouldn't say is a philosophy book, it's about engaging in deep work. But for so long now, I've been stuck on the idea of just how shallow the world is nowadays and how trivial everything seems. How shallow, spending time on social media is, how trivial so many conversations are nowadays, how trivial the things people want so passionately are, just how trivial it all is. And it touches on that in this book, but it also touches on the fact that we humans love to go deep. We love to be, the mind loves to be very focused on something, no matter what it is. The mind loves to be fully engaged with full attention, focused on something for a extended period of time. But it disdains shallowness. And I've truly been feeling that for so long now. And I haven't had a book that really talked about it. And this book doesn't, but to me it really does. Because it talks about how deep work is so fulfilling. And I realized that the things that fulfill me in life are all things deep. The shallow and trivialness of this day and age have been eating me alive. And I realize now that it's because my mind, and I believe all minds, just love going deep, no matter what it is. And it's a rarity nowadays because the second you got to fall in love with boredom to go deep, because the second boredom comes, we just have a phone now to distract us. We don't sit with those thoughts. We don't let the subconscious work through problems. We don't, because you can go deep in boredom and it can be rewarding. You can have profound insights. Your subconscious, even though you don't know, is working through the problems that you've been trying to solve in your work or in your relationships or whatever it may be. And we ruin that with the phone because we don't allow ourselves to just be bored. We don't allow ourselves to just be. We always have to do. And productivity is, something, it's more than ever nowadays. And this book, in a way, is a productivity book to how to be more productive. But I think it's a beautiful in the way that it wants you to be more productive, but at the same time you're more productive, you save more time. So it's a double benefit. You have more time to do other things, but you're also more productive in the things that truly matter. And you feel more rewarded because you're going deep. Because, 2 hours of deep work is better than, 4 to 5 hours of shallow work. And why would you want to do 5 hours of work when you could just do 2 hours of work and have the 2 hours of work be more productive and more meaningful? And this is what this book talks about. And it talks about how, like I've been saying, it's just more rewarding to go deep. And it only talks about it in a work perspective, at work going deep. But I kind of want to not talk about that as much and talk about how just going deep in life is way more, way better, whether it be in a conversation with a friend or going for a walk. If you go for a 15-minute walk and you're getting bored and you instantly start listening to music, or you instantly start, looking for a video or start answering texts, it's like that was a shallow walk. And now you're enjoying more shallow time on your phone. Your brain can't switch tasks very easily. It takes a little bit, it lags. So when you're 15 minutes into walking, you're not truly into deep concentration yet. You get 45 minutes in though, then you're in a deep task. You're having, deep insights. You're enjoying the walk. And then you go, say, another 45 minutes and enjoy a 90-minute walk, which is listening to nature. Your subconscious was working, and you're relaxed. You feel you went deep, and it feels meaningful, even if nothing happened. It feels so much better than if you were on and off walking, answering emails, answering text, scrolling, listening to a song here and there. It's just all those shallow activities make for not a meaningful walk or a meaningful existence, I believe. And I guess I will get into a little bit of the work side, because I think it's also very important too to go deep into your work and to understand what deep work is. And to me, I like to, read and write and make these videos, and deep work is something I try to cultivate. But I notice often, and I've also heard this from Andrew Huberman on podcast, talking about how our brains can really only go deep for around 90 minutes. 90 minutes of intense focus, the brain kind of starts getting tired. And after these 90 minutes, it can be very beneficial to take a break. And what these breaks should look like isn't, scrolling on social media, or, it shouldn't be shallow breaks. A lot of the greatest thinkers, in this book, it talks about Charles Darwin when he was writing his book about the about evolution. I don't know the name of the book, but what Charles Darwin is famous for, natural selection, all that. He when he was writing that book, he would spend like 90 minutes in the morning writing, and then he'd go on a walk for like an extended period of time. Then he'd come back, he'd write some more, and then he'd go on a walk until all of his thoughts were cleared and everything that he wanted to get through was done. And then he either might have went through one more writing session and one more walk, or that was it. And that was all he would do for the day. And it talks about in this book how a lot of the greatest creators and thinkers ever just really put like 4 hours of deep work in a day consistently. But then you get to that 4 hour mark of deep work, and your brain's it's kind of fried, because it's a lot. Deep concentration is hard. And a lot of people think that they can just turn it on, but it's truly a muscle to be developed. And if you don't focus deeply, you can't just turn it on and sit down for 2 hours and focus deeply. That's not how it works. But the point I want to stress there is that if you are trying to engage in deep work or deep task, don't just give in to these shallow temptations of going on social media and doing these trivial shallow things. Let your subconscious work through things by going for walks or just sitting there with your thoughts. I like going for walks a lot, so I like to read a lot, and then sometimes I'll start dozing off. I'll go for a 15-30 minute walk, come back, and then I'm refreshed. I'm ready to do another 90 minutes. And then 90 minutes, start dozing off again, go for a walk. And then, maybe I don't want to read anymore, so I'll watch a podcast and then take some notes. It's like, this stuff is meaningful to the mind. The mind loves it. The mind loves going deep. It hates switching task over and over again. It hates it. And to go back to the point about working muscles, like you're working your focus like a muscle, it also has this other chapter where it talks about memory. And it talks about how memory is more of a visual thing. And that's why, it's not good to just try to memorize things, by, say if you have to memorize a 10-digit number, just saying the number over and over in your head isn't a good strategy to remembering the number. What is a good strategy, though, is using visual cues. So, say you get a place that you know very well, say your house, and you walk through the front door, and then your immediate site, you pick um, like 5 locations that you know by heart, and you associate those locations with a number, and then you do that throughout your whole house with other objects, big objects like tables. Don't pick a small object like a pen, but big objects, and then you can memorize things easier. And I tried doing this, and I did this like 4 days ago, and I still remember the number that I made in my head. It was 743289100178. And I'm not very good at, I would consider myself not good at memorizing things like that. I was never good in school with trying to study because I never used that tactic. I was just trying to say it over in my head over and over again, and hopefully it stuck. But I think this strategy is very, very, very good. And I'll say that number at the end of the video just to prove that it is stuck in my brain. And it only took me 5 minutes, like 4 days ago, and I've recalled it like 10 times throughout the days, which is pretty remarkable if you ask me, because like I said, I've never been good with that stuff. So that gives you a new way to learn, and I'm sure there's many YouTube videos on that. Apparently, like the top memory people in the world use that tactic. But it's a very interesting concept, because deep work, I think, is very important, and I recommend you read this book, because if you want to do anything creative, you need to do deep work, or you're a knowledge worker, you need to do deep work, or you're not gonna thrive in this day and age. But it also just touched, like I said in the beginning, on a philosophical concept I've been really trying to think about, and it kind of helped me piece the puzzle together, why all this trivialness and all this shallow things in this day and age have been so grotesque to me, because it's so shallow. It feels like it's so without meaning. Having these trivial 10-minute conversations about things that don't matter. I don't like them, but I do like having 90-minute conversations about things that do matter, that I love. But it's these little trivial things, watching a 5-minute YouTube video and then clicking off, and then watching another 5-minute YouTube video, and then reading a book for like 10 minutes, and then writing for like 5 minutes. It's like, it's all scatterbrained, and you're not enjoying any of those tasks deeply. And I always wondered why that stuff, just ticked me off, to be blunt. And this book kind of helped me put it all together. And it also helped me do better work, because now, like I said, I'm going to always try to break up my work bouts with walks. I already try not to use my phone that much, but now it's going to be a bigger reminder to just let my subconscious work and let my subconscious go through things. Because even if you're sitting there and you're bored, you don't know what your subconscious is doing. It can be refreshing you for a good bout of deep work. And that is meaningful, and that is good for, productivity. And I just I want to make this video just to urge you guys to go deep, to urge you guys to get away from the superficialness of this day and age, and urge you guys to just fall in love with boredom again, and let your subconscious work, and just go for long walks, enjoy a long read, enjoy writing for a long time, enjoy deep conversations. And there's another story in this book about a girl who gets cancer, and she starts like focusing a lot, and I think she goes into remission or something. But after, she says that I'm the only life I'm going to live from now on is the focused life, because no other life is worth living. No other life is worth living but having full attention and focus on the task at hand. And that's why the phone, it's horrible for that. And that might be why there's a meaning crisis nowadays, because no one engages in a deep conversation without checking their phone, or nobody goes to the gym for an hour, hour and a half without listening to music and looking at their phone. And nobody does anything without looking at their phone constantly. And that just takes your brain out of the moment. And I don't think the brain likes that. And I don't think you like that, even though you might not know. And I think it just takes away from focus and deep attention to the task at hand, which has many downfalls because it produces a worse final product. It produces less meaningful engagement with the task, and you just don't want that. So I just want to urge you guys to go deep and to just enjoy deep task. Just try to get away from the shallow, trivial activities that this day and age breed and that are so common. And I think that you'll find a more rich and better existence because the focused life is truly the only life worth living.